Here comes a new challenger!
Hello, and welcome. Today, we are going to be discussing something. The possibility of the final fighter for the Final Pass. Now, of course, they did announce that there will be new fighters, of course, which I'm happy for. More fighters? Hey, that's great. But who is number 5 is the main question. After all, they are our next DLC character, and to end off this fighter pass. So, who could they be? Well, let's establish some rules first. Rule number 1, they have to be third party, of course. As it seems so far with the past 4, every character here has been a third party franchise, none of which is owned by Nintendo in any way, shape, or form. 2, they can't have any sort of reference or any sort of appearance in any previous Smash titles. No Mii costumes, no items, nothing. It has to be a franchise that has not been represented previously. The reason why I say this is because there seems to be going on with a sort of pattern. Now, I usually hate patterns. Like how people thought that Ike wasn't going to make it in Smash 4 because in Melee and Brawl, they had 2 Fire Emblem characters. So I guess that means that there's not going to be any more Fire Emblem characters. I guess it's only going to be Marth and someone else from Awakening in Smash 4. Of course, that wasn't the case. And generally, patterns like those bother me since it's only been like 1 or 2 games and the first game doesn't even count. You know what I mean? So let's look at it all. Joker, no Persona references in any previous Smash titles. And plus, Persona 5 came out long after Smash 4 finished, so, you know. Then, Hero, Dragon Quest, hasn't made an appearance in Smash previously. As for Banjo, there were rare references in Melee. For instance, the Sensor Bomb was based off of GoldenEye, but there was never, as far as my knowledge, Banjo has never really been referenced in any way, shape, or form in previous titles. And Terry Bogard, well, that's a no-brainer. Generally, you would think, you know, a character like him would be referenced in some way, but due to the ups and downs SNK went through, it's pretty obvious why he hasn't been referenced in any way, shape, or form in any previous titles. So with those rules being set, the final character has to be a third party whose franchise has not been in any previous titles. This essentially means that we can't go off of things like Heihachi, because Heihachi is referenced in Smash through Pac-Man, and even though I really don't like that idea, we're gonna have to take it into account. We also can't use Lloyd Irving, as Lloyd had a Mii costume in the previous game. Stuff like that, we just can't have him. Yeah, and oh yeah, I almost forgot, Heihachi even had a Mii costume in Smash 4 as well, so there you go. So essentially, these are the rules we gotta work with, and so we gotta guess who can it be. So I have 5 possible answers. 2 of them kinda rely on weeks, quote unquote, but one of them I've always thought was going to be number 5, so I mean, that's just a personal bias anyways. And they'll be my last character I reference. So let's go with number 1. Doomguy. Doomguy, Doomslayer, the franchise itself is very legendary. While Sakurai, I believe, hasn't talked about Doom directly, he has talked about its creator. Doom is iconic. It's a classic. It's been around for years. And with Doom Eternal on the horizon, even though it got delayed, but hey, you know what? That's fine by me. A better product's a better product. Doom in itself has always stayed relevant while also being an iconic franchise. Plus, unlike other fighters, Doom has definitely been in the spotlight when it comes to Smash. I know a lot of people say he would be better for Mortal Kombat, but as we've seen with Negan and Tekken, just because you're a hyper-violent character of some kind, you know, doesn't mean you can't be represented well without that, well, blood and gore, essentially. Plus, he has a lot waiting in his favor. Personally, I truly do believe he has a chance of being our next fighter. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Next up is Crash, and while I know that people have been saying, oh, he's not going to be the fifth fighter due to sources. It's still a high possibility. You never know. I mean, for me personally, I thought Crash should have gotten in a long time ago. He is an iconic character, and generally back when the console wars was still, I mean, it's still a thing, but when it was really major, you know, it was Sega with Sonic, Nintendo with Mario, and PlayStation, Sony PlayStation with Crash. Generally, I mean, I see no reason for Crash not to be the fifth fighter, other than, you know, he's just not, and he's just a character later down the line. I know Activision has been in muddy waters as of late, but I truly don't think that would affect Crash's chances in any way, shape, or form. Crash is too much of an iconic character that I doubt any form of controversy will take him down anyway. So, I mean, who knows? It's always a chance. It's always a possibility. You know, when it comes to leaks, usually the character can be rearranged, you know, I mean, Erdrick and Manjo have been talked about for like months on end before their actual reveal, you know, things like that. So I truly do believe that, hey, it's, you know, it's possible for Crash to be our fifth fighter. I'm not gonna say it's, you know, the high likeliest chance, but I'll just say that it's right up there, you know. Regardless of the fact, Crash, again, iconic franchise, so, you know, would make sense. Next up is kind of a two-fer pack, you could say. Dante or Leon Kennedy. I truly do believe we'll get another Capcom character, and as far as to my knowledge, unless I've been missing something, Resident Evil and Devil May Cry have not been referenced in Smash in any way, shape, or form, so they're fair game. Resident Evil and Devil May Cry have a history together. After all, DMC was made due to the development of Resident Evil 4, I believe. And, well, Resident Evil 2 had a remake, and that was good. It was very good. You know, when they remake Resident Evil 4, please don't change it, Capcom. Please, no. I want my laser scene and chair. Please? Please? Okay? Oh, okay. And as for Devil May Cry, I mean, it's one of Capcom's other popular franchise. If there were any more I could reference, it would be things like Monster Hunter, but we already have Rathalos in Smash, and we already had the Mii costumes in Smash 4, which I do think will come back. But when it comes to anything else other than those, I don't know. I mean, Leon to me just seems the most obvious pick, because he's the most famous of them all. And if you want to go for, I guess, the main character status, then Chris Redfield, one of those two, I believe. I know a lot of people are bringing up the other female protagonists, like Claire and Jill, but, I mean, they can be skins, you know what I mean? Like, Resident Evil 5 did make Chris look like a monster, but I truly do believe they could be skins. They, you know, I mean, they've done it before with different characters. Obviously, Robin and Corrin had similar body types, but who's to say they can't, you know, do it again? That's just my take, though. Now I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. Now, at this point, I would have said a Namco character, but Heihachi and Tales of has already been referenced previously in Smash, so I'm not gonna say those. Who else from Capcom? No one. Because Pac-Man referenced all of them. He cheated them all. Oh well. I wanted to add another fighting game character to this, but I guess not. Except Arc Systems, you know, they've been doing really good. Hey, you know, let's get an Arc Systems character, and who else other than Soul Badguy, who I think has a chance as well. What? But Sam, we already have another fighting game character with Ryu and Terra's DLC. It's back to back, like they can't do that again. Listen to yourself. We had Joker and we had Hero back to back. They could have a fighting game character and another fighting game character back to back. Come on. This is not an impossibility as people want to believe. Plus, Arc Systems, I mean, they've been doing really great as of late. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the company's going through financially or anything, but in terms of their games, I mean, have you seen the new Guilty Gear coming out? Me personally, I do prefer Blaze Blue. That's just me, but that doesn't mean that Soul Badguy is not, because this isn't a character of who I think this isn't a list of who I want, mind you. This is a list of who I think will make it in. And if an Arc System Works character were to make it in, it'd be Soul Badguy, in my opinion. I don't think Ragna would be it. I don't think anyone else would. It has to be Soul Badguy. And Arc System Works has been doing great for the fighting game community as a whole. I mean, we have Blaze Blue, we have Guilty Gear, we, you know, Cross Tag, all these sort of games, Dragon Ball Fighters, like they've been killing it with all this. You know, I mean, it's just amazing what they've done for fighting games as a whole, and I truly do believe that they could get a character. It's not out of the realm of possibility, and like I said, we already had Joker and Hero back to back, so they could totally have another fighting game character as the 5th fighter, as long as they're popular enough. And I truly do believe that Soul Badguy is popular enough. You know, Guilty Gear as a franchise has been around for a very, very long time. This isn't a brand new franchise. This is very old, you know. So I truly do believe that Arc Systems could get a character as the final fighter. I do think it'll be Soul Badguy, and that's my stance on it. I know many people are probably gonna say, "What? You know, fighting games? Don't we already have enough?" No, we don't. No, we don't. We have a bunch of RPGs, we have a bunch of platformer characters. There's nothing hurting the fact of more fighting game characters. And honestly, I welcome it, you know? Because with more fighting game characters, it means a lot more unique fighters. I mean, generally when it comes to characters that don't come from a fighting game, you know, they have to make up their moveset. But when it comes to a fighting game character in Smash, they gotta figure out how to make that character's mechanics work in Smash, rather than just making up an entire moveset for them. It's pretty awe-inspiring, and I truly do believe that, hey, we could get Soul Badguy. But onward to our last one, who, you know, he's been talked about in leaks. I personally want him, and also I think he has a high likelihood of being the final fighter. Ninja Gaiden. Come on, Hayabusa. Iconic franchise. The only thing I think holds him back from being the final fighter is hype potential, but then again, it's odd because I never want to look at a DLC roster or a base roster and say the final character has to be this big grand character that no one would ever expect. Olimar and Brawl, it was technically the last character announced before the Secret Fighters, of course, but or Melee, I believe it was Game & Watch. And in Smash 4, the last character in the base roster was Shulk in 3DS, Bowser Jr. if you want to count for Wii U, and by all accounts, Bayonetta, while a pretty good final character to leave off on and during Smash 4, and obviously I'm not referring to tournaments or anything, because that's a whole different can of worms. You know, you could say she was a hype character to end off in, because she was like the fighter palette character, but we all know that that's not the case. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the fighter ballot pick was K. Rool or Banjo. Hayabusa is not out of the realm of possibility, and I would not be surprised if we did see him. Again, he's not the most hyped character to end a fighter pass on. He'd be like another Simon, a character that sort of lay dormant. He's been around in modern games, but you don't really get to see him all that often anymore. The most you see Hayabusa in is Dead or Alive, and does that really count? I mean, he's always been in every game, so I guess not. But when it comes to Hayabusa, I know things have been iffy for him for being the 5th fighter, not a DLC fighter in general, because of course we did get the announcement of, you know, future fighters, but in terms of who the 5th fighter of this pass is, those are my guesses. As for the future of Smash and the DLC there, say for instance Hayabusa, Crash, you know, those characters I think would have a likely chance of being a future DLC fighter. Gino. I do believe that future DLC won't have too much of a strict rule set. You know, it's probably whoever Sakura wants that at that point. But who's to really say? We'll never know. And generally, we'll never know until we get that first fighter after the fighter pass. But we'll see. We'll see. I have a feeling we'll know fighter number 5 and the first fighter after the fighter pass before the end of this year. We'll probably see fighter number 5 alongside with Terry next month in November. And we'll probably see the last fighter in December. Maybe in the Game Awards? Just to get a hint of what's to come. But those are my thoughts. Those are my predictions. That's who I think will make it in. If you agree, if you disagree, what can I say? I mean, these are my opinions and thoughts. I would like to hear yours in the comments. Who do you think will be fighter number 5? We'll just have to wait and see now, won't we? Anyways, thank you for listening in. Hope you have a great day, great night, great week, great year, month. I should have said month before the year. Regardless, take care, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.